What does it mean to lead with purpose? Now, if I think about this, when you're a somebody who leads with purpose, you're really tapping into the biggest productivity and high performance hack known to man or woman. Because leading with purpose enables you to do things beyond what you may deem as possible. It's just that simple. And so, with that in mind, I want to really cultivate and help you understand why leading with purpose is important, but how you can do that as well. Now, of course, when you have a clear sense of purpose, and hear what I'm saying here, you're able to make decisions that are aligned to your higher sense of being. What do I mean by that? When you are clear of your vision, i.e., the direction you want to go in, when you are clear of the set of values that you have, i.e., what you deem as important, and when you know your velocity, i.e., how quickly you want to go, then you're in a position where you're somebody leading with purpose. Because for me, leadership is somebody who is living by example. You're living by example, but you can only do that if you have something to reference. And those references are your sense of vision, or what your vision is, i.e. your direction, your values, i.e. what you deem as important, and velocity, how quickly you want to go. So bear these things in mind. So when thinking up purpose, it's really, why am I here? What is the point of me right now? What is the reason for my existence? As they say in the French, d'être raison. Hopefully I said that well. Sometimes I put in this French accent, I don't even know if I said it well. But it's reason for being, so to speak. And so when you have that reason that really connects to self, it makes perfect sense. Now, of course, if this is for an individual, it can be conceptualized in this sort of like whole meaning, sense of self and purpose stuff. But for an organization, of course, these same things come into play. And this is why when you're defining things like your vision, your values, and all this kind of stuff there, you're setting the sense of purpose for the organization, because the culture lives and breathes this stuff. Culture is defined by the virtues of processes, behaviors, and systems. And of course, the leadership as well, because the leadership really sets pace for what that culture looks like. And that comes down to whether you actually enact these sets of values against the purpose. So how do you find your purpose? Well, really and truly, you have to look at problems that you're trying to solve. You have to look at things that draw into your curiosities. You need to think about, what are the experiences that I've had that have made me go, yes, I really like this. No, I don't really like this. And what have I compromised on? So when you're also looking at things like what makes you up as a person, so what is your actual direct background, so your upbringing, your parents' sort of situation, your grandparents' situation. When you look at the chrono system, i.e. the cultural sort of makeup of your life and the demographic makeup of your life, all of this stuff says something about your sense of purpose, because it positions you in a place that gives you a lens and a perspective that will always be different to different types of people, that enables you to understand, this is how I want to live my life. And this is why I say sense of purpose, because I don't know whether we were given a purpose or not. But I know we can have a sense of purpose that feels aligned. And as long as it feels aligned, that's what is important. So alignment is key. And so you know that alignment by looking at some of that other stuff that I spoke about. Of course, when looking at it from an organizational context, you need to be able to understand, what have you done in the past? What has worked? What hasn't worked? And what evidence do you have to support this stuff? This could be data. This could be through surveys. This could be one of those pulse checks or those scorecards. This could be through interviews with different individuals. All of this stuff housed together gives you a sense of what has been happening, and you're going to have an idea of whether you like it or not. And this is why we do the gap analysis. We look at what was or what currently is versus, okay, what are my thoughts for the future? Because then that gives you an idea of what you need to be doing moving forward in terms of objectives and tasks, etc., etc. This is how we do it. And of course, you're going to be looking at values and all this kind of stuff there. So once you've crafted this idea, once you've crafted this sense of meaning that you have in terms of your reason for being, as they say, then you want to be able to communicate this effectively. Of course, to yourself, but to others. But first, you want to be able to articulate this stuff, write it down. And does it feel like something that is purposeful? Okay. Does it give you joy? Does it give you a sense of meaning? Is it an opportunity for you to learn? Are you somebody who's achieving? Maybe you fit into those different sort of categories. And this is something I was taught from my coach training. I didn't adopt this myself. What does it give you? Okay. If it leans into some of this stuff and it feels like it makes sense, that's how you know that, again, you've got this sense of purpose that is building. Okay. So you want to communicate this, again, if you're an individual, to your partner, maybe to your siblings, to trusted friends or associates or whatever it may be. So like, yeah, this makes sense. Sometimes, and I've got a video on this that kind of sort of like not blew up, but it's done very well for me as a small YouTuber, where I spoke about the Johari window, okay? And it talks about, how you write down different meta emotions or values or things that you think relate to you as a person. You write that down, 5 to 10 things. Then you get your friends to do that and your family to do that, 5 to 10 things each. And then you see, where was the crossover? Where are the similarities and where are the big differences? And the things that are similar, that is you. The things that are exactly the same, again, that's you. And the things that are sort of like things that you haven't caught but other people have caught, but there is sort of like a frequency in terms of them popping up, again, that's something to note that maybe you have a blind spot to. And of course there are going to be things that, again, none of you guys mentioned that will always kind of be vacant in a way. Okay, so all of this stuff is developing that self-awareness in order for you to understand how you can self-manage yourself, in order for you to enact a sense of purpose. And this is where we start going into things like vocation and professions and things that you want to do. This is why I talk about portfolio careers and all that kind of stuff there. And so when it comes to your sense of purpose, and you've articulated it, you've written it down, you have a sense of your vision, your values, and your velocity, then you want to be in a space of implementation and enacting this stuff. So you want to be able to practice this on a regular basis. Maybe there are certain competencies you need to develop. They say you get into flow state when you have a certain level of skill or competency and a certain level of challenge. And if it's a certain level of high challenge, but you have a high skill set, you get into flow state because you're just allowing things to happen. You know when you're in flow, when you're not thinking about it, and it just feels like it's meant to be. Okay, it feels like time's not happening. You see the Serenas playing, or the Cristiano Ronaldos, the Messis playing, or whether it's someone doing public speaking like a Les Brown or a Tony Robbins, they're just in their state. They're in their element. And that's how you know you get into that space. For me personally, I know when I train or speak, mainly speaking, I'm in my element. Maybe you're feeling it now for those of you who've sat down and listened to this long enough. But you know you're in your sense of purpose when it just feels effortless, okay? So think about all of this stuff. Now, of course, everything's not rosy, and you've heard of this whole concept of ikigai, okay, which is really your reason for being, in terms of the Japanese word and stuff like that. And they talk about different areas in terms of, what the world needs, what you're passionate about, what you're good at, etc., etc. And there's this intersection known as ikigai. Now, of course, this is true, but as you're moving towards your ikigai, your sense of purpose, your d'autres raisons, what's going to happen is there are going to be things that are going to be challenging, okay? And you may want to write down these challenges, and you may want to write down these limiting beliefs, but in the same vein, you also want to write down alongside it in a different column how you're going to tackle these things one by one. And if you need ChatGPT to help you, get ChatGPT to help you. But I would urge you to write it yourself, because if you keep on relying on ChatGPT, my friends, you're going to be lazy, you're not going to be innovative, and there's not going to be a sense of creativity. So think about all of this stuff. How are you going to overcome some of these challenges? You know what you like, you know what you don't like, but what do you have to compromise to achieve the overall goal, the overall purpose, the overall sense of meaning? These are all very important stuff. And of course, you only know if it's meaningful if you are able to, again, measure your impact against that meaning. And this is where metrics come into play and all this kind of stuff there. For those of you who don't know, I have something called the life navigation template. And it's essentially a Notion template, which I utilize on a regular basis in order for me to be clear about what is my sense of purpose. It's very pragmatic, but it's very sort of leans into the other side where it's creative as well. I'm looking at how I prime myself by asking myself key questions. I'm setting key objectives per different pillars of mastery, i.e. progress, performance, personal, and I think people, that's it, in order for me to understand what life areas do I need to elevate in, okay? And then I'm journaling to, again, really express and understand and highlight how I'm measuring impact within these different areas in alignment to my sense of purpose. I'm trying to achieve a sense of mastery in my life. That's why my company is called Mastery Group. And so that gives me a sense of what I need to be doing. So if you're ever confused with this stuff, again, think back to this sort of like ideology. Now, of course, to help you, think of an example. Think of somebody that you admire who has a sense of purpose. And this person naturally is a leader. What did I say before? Leadership to me is someone who lives by example. That's something I've coined. No one has given me that sort of like idea, but they live by example. So there must be a reference point, an example of somebody that you have seen that lives by example. And so if you can reference this person and see the emotions that they sort of like flare out and everything else, you can start to think, how can I do that for myself? That makes sense for me. That's authentic to me. Because really authenticity, like I've said many times before, is broken down into three things. Living authentically, so embodying your sense of sincerity, making sure that you're not easily influenced by outside stuff, and also making sure that you don't self-alienate, i.e. you respect your self-worth and you understand that you are somebody of substance and value, okay? Now, of course, there are going to be times, whether it's during COVID or the rise of the AI revolution, where you're going to be tested, where things are going to be complex and ambiguous. And the only way you can continue to lead with purpose is to understand your locus of control, understand what you can control and what you can't. And so this is why all of this stuff is really important, whether this is an individual as a leader or within an organization, where you have to do the work to really crystallize your sense of purpose. Again, if you're somebody who wants to walk through and understand what that purpose may look like for you, whether it's your career transition, or whether it's your business or wherever it may be, as a leader or high achiever, then help me help you become your partner to help you make better decisions towards your sense of purpose, meaning, and joy and everything else. So if you're looking for coaching, i.e. from myself, then feel free to book a call with me and we can have a conversation and see whether we're a good fit for each other. If you want to see more videos tailored around life management and portfolio careers, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, my friends, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.